Good morning. Woo! Out on the bike. Just listening to a little Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. And NPD has gone fully mainstream now, y'all. Narcissistic personality disorder and how it operates in relationships. They got an expert witness, a supposed expert witness, calling Johnny Depp the narc. And I guess that would make Amber the codependent in the situation, according to him. I think he has that completely backwards. I think most people tuning in, when you look at the comments, think he has it completely backwards as well. But it's like I said, I brought it up in earlier videos about this, about the NPD dynamic and how, it could be the end of the smear campaign at least being as effective as it once was, because people are being educated as to how NPD operates. And as I said before, both parties are become abusive in that situation. That's why I'm not so sure he's going to win this case, as it is just defamation based on, was he abusive, not did he start it. Or, it's not about who started. I mean, it is on a spiritual level about who started it. But that's the thing with an abusive relationship. It descends everybody into mechanisms of abuse. The main difference is the narc knows it's a con, whereas a codependent's an inverted narcissist. There's nothing glorious about being a codependent. It's not like you're the righteous one, but you are not putting on a false self consciously as a codependent. Not that you're losing your authenticity in the relationship. You're becoming less authentic, but you're not consciously wearing a mask. And a narc is consciously wearing a mask. So I guess you could say it like this. It's the difference between murder in the first degree and manslaughter. The crime, or the end result of the crime is the same. Somebody's dead. Somebody has been killed. But look what we do in the courts. If somebody's caught, like if you got into a fight at the bar on a Friday night and clobbered somebody over the head with a beer bottle and they died, and it was a spur of the moment emotional thing, you would go to jail for a long time, but you wouldn't, you'd get out after a few years probably, or something. I don't know what the legal things are of that, but I know it's obviously. But if you thought about killing somebody for 4 weeks and plotted it and schemed it and then did it, you go to jail for the rest of your life or get the death penalty. So we do put on level of intent on how evil an act is. And so I would say, in my assessment of this, both parties have been abusive, but the narc in this situation is consciously going in that direction, wearing a mask, mirroring the other person, love bombing. And they're doing this all, for purposes outside of mutuality and that. They are doing it, though. They get demonized, narcs, but and it is demonic behavior, but they themselves, sorry, this is shaking. I guess I'm tired. Should have used my selfie stick. But I don't think they themselves are demonic per se, because I think they're just traumatized beings, and this is their way of going through trauma. Now, what they're participating in something that's evil, so it's not like, oh, just forgive them. I mean, and you got to deal with the consequences of what you're doing. But they're like a universally maligned group, and I think humanity has a chance to evolve, and I think even narcs can confront these behavior patterns. I think a lot of them aren't aware of that they have a pathology, and that they are just kind of using their survival mechanisms that they got from being in abusive households. And so it's like a codependent and narcissist are like two sides of the same coin. A codependent is also just trying to get like love and their traumatic needs fulfilled, but they're doing it in such a way that is not as they're sort of self-abandoning, but they're not putting on a character. They're sincere, but they're operating from a place of lack. So it's not exactly like they're saintly in the thing. They're self-abandoned the way like an alcoholic self-abandons to alcoholism. They abandon themselves towards love. It's this fix-all. And then the narc zeroes in on people that have that vulnerability, and then takes advantage of them. So, but it's interesting that NPD is on trial now, because that's new. When I first discovered NPD and how it worked its way into my life and getting out of abusive situations and falling into them and whatnot, because I have codependency, self-love deficit disorder, and so I can tend towards those relationships, but no one knew what those were. No one knew, like I went to a shrink at that point years ago. She didn't even know what gaslighting was. Now everybody knows what gaslighting is. So it's real interesting that it's going mainstream and that it's actually factoring into a court case. Now this doctor calling Johnny Depp a narcissist is absurd, because he's doing it based off of what we see. And it's like, dude, he's describing what, it's like he's just saying, like, there's gaslighting. He's describing Amber while he's talking about Johnny, really, in my view. And sort of kind of obviously, because it's like you can see who has the mask on and who, I can. At least that's my opinion. But and it's the opinion I think shared by most people tuning in. But yeah, so it's a trip, man. For a narc to recover, they would have to like die to their old self. They would have to like kill their survival mechanism. And that's why people say it's impossible for them to recover, because it would take a supernatural act of faith and will, and just get really honest about all the way all this stuff operates. And I think we should try to normalize people telling the truth on themselves about this, and maybe switch the narrative to it being not so hopeless, and also shift the narrative that they're evil, because I don't think they're evil. They're doing evil things, but I think they're doing it out of an instinctual survival mechanism that just grows and grows and grows and becomes so big they can't contain it anymore. Now, that doesn't excuse it, but it's just to say that maybe if the rhetoric wasn't so much that they're like demonic or demons, they would feel more comfortable and safe exposing themselves and thus trying to find a healing space. Anyway, this is a long video. I hope that rambling. I just had some thoughts on the mountain bike trail, listening to it and going, wow, NPD is mainstream. Here we go. Humanity evolving. Have a great day.